And that's the biggest thing too with this is, like I said in the email, it's just you and me shooting the shit, really. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what's up.
I'm going to try and get in because I want to get to know you a little bit more. But like, so tell me like, what was kind of like your childhood like? Like, what was your upbringing? You know, I want to kind of get some back history. History about kind of where you're from and who Deven is.
All right. So I'm originally from Eastern Kentucky, a little small town called Campton. It's right outside of the Red River Gorge. It's a super small town, man. We had a couple gas stations, a Dairy Queen, 2 red lights, town less than 1,000, and grew up playing sports. Was involved in basketball growing up. Played travel ball. Was fortunate enough, had a pretty good career in high school. I got to play a year in college, Division III school, Berea College, not too far from where I grew up.
What's the name of the college?
Berea College.
Berea, okay.
Yeah, they've got a very interesting. It's a pretty interesting school, man. You'll have to check into it. The tuition's free for everybody that goes there. It's pretty slick.
Well, that's what's up.
Yeah, I got to play a year. End up not working out at school, you know, out on my own, you know how that goes. And didn't really have no path with my life, and I dropped out. Worked a couple odd-end jobs. In the meantime, I was talking to a military recruiter, and not shortly after I dropped out of college, I was shipped off to Air Force basic training.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
So Air Force.
Yep.
So how long were you in service?
I was in 3 years.
3 years?
Yep. I was my initial service commitment was 6 years. When I got back from deployment, the jet that I had worked on was beginning this divestment process. So they was like decommissioning the jet out of military use. It was old. And they started giving us options to either get a new job, get to a new base, or you could get out. And right before I deployed, my first child was born. I left when she was about 3 weeks old. Spent a little bit longer. I was supposed to be out there about 6 months and ended up spending about 10.
Oh.
When I got back, man, I was just burnt out on it. And took the early out option. And that's kind of where my journey started, man, with this personal development type stuff.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. What was your job in the military? Like you said, you were working on a jet. Were you a mechanic or what was
Well, I was you know, when you fly on a plane and they go over all the safety equipment, when the plane's going down, the stuff you want to grab onto. I dealt with working on and inspecting that equipment. So packing parachutes, oxygen masks, life preservers, that kind of stuff.
All the survival gear, right?
Yeah.
Like when shit hits the fan.
Yeah. Really
Deven better have done his job well, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That's
real monotonous job, but a super important job, because if you know, them jets go down, you want to have operating properly functioning equipment.
Yeah,
Sure.
no, absolutely. Yeah. The safety side of things is always like kind of humdrum, you know what I mean? In a way, but man, it is so important because when it comes to fruition, like things better be done correctly. Yeah. So where were you deployed? Sorry, you might have said that, but I missed it.
I was deployed in Okinawa, Japan.
Oh, okay.
Kadena Air Force Base, but not really a deployment, but more of a TDY is what they call them.
TDY, what's that?
Yeah, it's like oh man, it's been a minute.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'll look that up real quick.
Is it just like where you're stationed, right? So
well, it's like a temporary duty, I think is what it stands for.
Oh, okay.
Like you can, if you're stationed somewhere stateside, let's say you're stationed in Georgia, and a lot of people go out to Las Vegas at Nellis for a TDY for like usually a short trip, a couple months. And that's what they called our deployments, because they really necessarily wasn't in deployed, what you would consider deployed locations.
Right. I see. Yeah, crazy. So then you got out of the military, you got a new baby, right?
Mm-hmm.
New child. And then, so yeah, you said you started down this kind of personal development thing. And I think that's where you and I connected,
Mhm.
right? Is
Yes,
because
sir.
of what I do and everything. And you're like, hey, have a similar path and similar interests and everything. And that's how we connected. So what is your, like, what you got out of the military and
Mhm.
then you were working a little bit, but then what kind of led you down that route?
Well, when I got out of the military, I worked just a couple kind of dead end jobs, man. Not going to crap on nobody's career, but I was working at FedEx for a while, and then I got into some electrical construction. Not necessarily something that I wanted to do.
Something to
Uh,
pay the bills, right?
yeah,
Like, yeah, absolutely.
and I was working out. I kind of got into fitness, actually like weightlifting while I was in the military, but just hanging out with my buddies. I didn't really know nothing about it, the nutrition side, none of that. And I was still working out while I was working these jobs, and news come that I was having another child, and this time it was a son. So I had to do some real long looking in the mirror, because I did not like what I was as a man. I was kind of starting to develop some wild habits uh, during the military. I'm sure you've heard about the military, how wild that can get sometimes.
I've heard
And,
stories.
and started developing that, and man, I just knew I needed to make a change with my son coming. So this was kind of what started off my personal development journey, I guess is what we'll call it. Um, I then distanced myself from any type of distraction. I got off of social media, every account that I had, quit drinking alcohol, uh, really started reading up on the gym, and started paying attention to the things I was putting into my body, started working out harder, started implementing some running into my training. And I eventually, with the GI Bill, got into school for exercise science,
Oh, okay.
and worked on it for a while as I was still working on myself. Not only was it just fitness and health and wellness things, like it was reading up on just like stoicism, different daily habits that I could start implementing to just to help myself mentally, physically, just make my life better overall. And just started practicing them day in and day out, man. Still do to this day. And it's helped me so much. My life is completely 180. Uh, some things that I never thought that I would do, uh, I've done since I started this journey, and enjoyed every second of it, man.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy how kids can kind of force you into a perspective.
Oh yeah, for sure.
you know,
Yeah.
I remember I always tell people this, but when I was younger, I always said, um, I love kids. Like my wife jokes about it that I'm the baby whisperer. Like when we're around friends and there's new kids, like I always, it's just something about them. I just it's just fun, right? But I never wanted to have kids. So if my boys are listening to this, listen, this goes somewhere, and it's nothing against you guys. But I was like, I never really wanted to have kids. I was like, I'll leave that up to my sisters,
Mm.
and then I could just be the cool uncle. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And then my wife and I got pregnant, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. So this is happening. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And then we had him, and then actually it was, about 4 years later, well, 3 or so years later, I got to think about that a little bit more. I was like, well, we were talking about it and said, well, maybe we don't want him to be alone, that
Mm.
sort of thing. We want him to have siblings. So we decided we'd have another one. And now we've got two.
That's what's up.
And yeah, I mean, kind of similarly, it was, 5, 6 years ago. And as a father, my boys were a little bit older. They weren't new babies or anything, but I was sitting on this hill by myself thinking about life and them, and was like, man, I don't know if I'm going to be around for them. I don't know how long I'll be around for them. Now that's a truth in life, right?
Mm.
I mean, everybody dies. We don't know when it's going to happen, but I was like, I don't need to help that along by
Yeah.
anything. Like I've got to get not only my mind, my body, and my soul, just like you're talking about, get all
Mm.
that in check. And one, because I want to be around selfishly, I want to be around for their lives, but
Yeah.
then two, so that I can be the example for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was always important to me, and that's really what kind of led me down that path a little bit more. I always wanted to be an upstanding individual and a good person, but man, when you have kids,
Oh
you're
yeah,
like,
for sure.
oh, I'm responsible for this other human being and turning them into contributing and positive influences on a community. Ooh.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. No, that's good. I like that you said one of the things that I wrote down, I always take notes,
Mm,
is distancing yourself from the bad habits, I guess you could say, or
mhm.
the negative habits or whatever, the negative influences on your life. And I think that's really important. Um, yeah, I agree. I mean, that was awesome. You started getting into running and nutrition. So I know you and I had talked about this, and this is where I go kind of down the selfish route because I'm interested. I've been looking at getting some certifications myself, and I know you
Mhm.
are working on your NASM, or you've got the test coming up, right?
Yep, at the end of the month, yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So have you? And you went to school for exercise science, and
Mhm.
is that all? Like, what is the certification you're looking to get, and what are you? I guess what are you working towards?
Just get my CPT certification, but I'm gonna have to clarify. I didn't do a good job of it in the message that I had sent you. I'm actually certified through my school. It's kind of an in-house certification.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Technically, you can do some personal training without being certified through like ISSA and NASM, but it's good to have those if you're looking to get into like a commercial gym working. But
Okay.
I'm just trying to stack up some credentials. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, because I mean, the school you went to is probably an accredited school, right?
Yeah.
And so then, yeah, you come out of there and you've got I mean, for us layman terms, you've got your degree. So you have your
Mhm.
certification through the school. But then, yeah, no, that makes sense. That's that's one thing I was trying to figure out myself too, was how that works. And the NASM or ISSA, yeah, that certification. I mean, if you walk into it like a 24-hour fitness, not saying you're going to, but if you could walk into literally any gym and be like, hey, I'm NASM or ISSA certified, and they'd be like, sweet, when can you start? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So that's awesome, dude. No,
Yeah.
that's great. So CPT, for those who don't know, that's a certified personal trainer,
Mhm.
that acronym. And there's like, dude, that's the other thing that I learned that kind of struck me was there are so many different types of personal trainers out there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's impressive. Now, you said you started to get into the nutrition and whatnot. Are
Mhm.
you looking at doing like like a certified nutrition specialist or anything? Or
Eventually,
oh, okay,
but it's not. It wasn't included with what when I graduated. They gave me a voucher to take the test for free, kind of with the program. It was discussed before I even started, but now with the nutrition side of it, with the certification, it's not included. But I'll eventually get that as well, hopefully.
yeah. Would
Uh,
you? Because I know my take on it, but how important do you think nutrition is when we're talking just body? No, even we could even go the whole route, like as being a healthy individual, mind, body, and soul. How important do you think the nutrition is?
I think it's everything personally.
Okay.
This is just me talking. Not. Uh, I put more into the nutrition side than I do the fitness side, and that's where I think a lot of help for me's come. All my food, I try to eat whole foods, avoid processed foods at all costs. Now sometimes let's be realistic.
Yeah,
Uh,
we gotta be real here, man.
we'll
There's no
have to
BS here.
we'll have to have a break in discipline every now and then, but
Yeah.
it's just like with a car, man. If you put junk fuel in a car, eventually it's going to break down. But if you're fueling that car with the highest quality gas or whatever its fuel is, it's going to run, and it's going to run well for a long time. That's
Yeah.
what we're trying to do around here, man.
Yeah. No, I love that. No, 100%. So, funny story as an anecdote. Quite a few years ago now, and I was just trying to understand. This is way before I really went down the rabbit hole of really trying to, but I was trying to be a better person, better husband, better
Mhm.
dad. My boys were pretty young, and my wife has always been very particular on the food that we eat. And eventually it led to, and just because she's a good chef and she's a good cook and all
Yeah.
this and everything, but she always wanted to be healthy. Now she's gluten free and stuff, because of medical issues, but she's always been very particular about nutrition, and I never really was, right? And then quite a few years ago, like I said, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to try and limit my sugar, like really
Mhm.
pay attention to sugar.
Yeah.
And dude, just cutting that out, I lost like 10 pounds. And it
Yeah.
wasn't like overnight. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, you know that
Yeah.
everything takes time. But I was like, that was kind of like the first epiphany. And that was the first time that I really, in a big sense, had to go to my wife and be like, babe, you were right.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
I love
And
it.
and then like I said, 5, 6 years ago, when I really started to look at it a lot closer, that's when I got into, the tracking the macros and really
Mm.
understanding how the body's fueled. And I mean, I'm on no, you've actually gotten formal education on nutrition. So if I'm speaking out of turn, please jump in. But
Yeah, you could.
just like the way that proteins and fats and carbs and how they all interact into your body, and like how your body uses them differently, because they can all be fuel, but our body uses them differently
Yeah.
for fuel. Like, and
Mhm.
just when I started going down that and I really changed my nutrition, that's like you said, it's everything. Like,
Yeah.
that's really where I've seen the biggest gains, not
Mhm.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like, that's really where you see the biggest changes.
Yeah.
So I love that you're like, yeah, nutrition, that's it for sure.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
On the nutrition.
Yeah.
Have you felt any improvement in your mental health when you cleaned up your diet?
So 100%. So yeah, that's awesome that you asked that. So going back to that story where I was sitting on that hill, I was
Mhm.
on, and I think you've heard this because we might have talked about this on like the back history of Coach Wads, right?
Mhm.
Is this moment in time where I was sitting on this hill on a solo hunt, right?
Mhm.
And the reason why, like, I really, really, really started going down that rabbit hole was, yeah, I could tell that my body wasn't quite there, like physically, like
Mhm.
I'd walk up the stairs or run up the stairs and I'd be like, oh, winded.
Yeah.
And that was one thing, but I kind of attributed that, like everybody, to, oh, I'm just getting older,
Mhm.
right? Which is a false. Don't believe that. Don't believe that. Don't let yourself tell you that, all the people out there listening. But the biggest reason that I did dive into the nutrition and everything was because of my mind. I really felt my mind slipping a
Mhm.
lot. Like, I remember I've never really felt my age. I think I've talked about that in the past, but I've never really felt my age. I always felt younger, I guess. Yeah, and age is just a number. But I really started to feel my age when I'd feel my mind slip. I was having brain fog. I was And I know as we get older, we can, we don't have as much capacity to remember things. So I write everything down, of course, but like I just wasn't able to recall things. I wasn't able to have good and meaningful conversations like this for a long extended period. Like, it was all completely in my mind. And when I started to change my nutrition, that's really where I did see the biggest gains as far as my mental health.
Yeah.
Physically and mentally, but yeah, absolutely. And that's why that's the mindset thing for me. That's why that is my angle of focus, and that's where I come at this, is from the mindset, because that is where I saw slipping for sure.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
awesome, man.
Yeah. And that's why I push that. So that's a great question. Now I feel bad because I went down my rabbit hole, and you're my guest. That was a
You,
good question. I'm gonna have to step up my game here, Devin.
no, you,
So you're going down this personal development journey. You're on it right now, which is awesome. So you are on what are platforms? Like, you and I found each other on TikTok, right?
mhm. Yep.
I'm gonna share. So for everybody that's on here listening, hopefully you don't mind. I can always cut
No,
this
that's
out
good,
if
man.
you want, but
Yeah.
this is Devin's page right here. So Deven Stone, check him out on TikTok and everything. What other platforms are you on? What are you doing? Like, well, I guess what's kind of the goal, and what do you got? Yeah.
So I'm also on Instagram. I'm
Okay.
usually just posting. I'm primarily kind of focused on TikTok,
Yeah.
with kind of formatting everything, I guess is the word. Uh, then I post to Instagram, pretty much the same thing I post on TikTok. And then I'm doing a little bit longer form content on YouTube as well. I'm not sure if it's up there. There's a link to my YouTube on my TikTok bio.
Okay. And what we'll do is, when we get done with this, I'll definitely get all your socials, and then we'll tag them so everybody can
Sweet.
find you for sure.
Sweet.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But it's just over on YouTube, doing just a little bit deeper dive on some of the topics, just with the YouTube, like in the lives. I kind of touch on it pretty quick, but kind of go into detail a little bit trying to do a video over there every Wednesday and Saturday.
Okay.
But had to put a little pause on it. This bunch of mine's been sick, so priorities, man, you know.
Dude, life is real, right?
Yeah.
Like last night I jumped on to do a live randomly while I was making dinner. And I did that because like when I interact with people, a lot of times when I'm doing my lives and things, it's because I'm Coach Wads, you know what I mean? But just like you're Devin and you're doing your thing, like we're still people.
Yeah.
You know, even when you do like when you're talking about business and you have your B2B, your business to business interactions, there's still a person that you are dealing with.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? So
Yeah.
no, I mean life's real. Like
Yeah.
sorry, yeah. I think the entire country right now is dealing with like the flu and cold and
Oh, yeah.
sick and gosh, it's just as relentless this year. It feels like I don't know.
Yeah, it's took us some time to get over it. Seems like we've been sick a couple weeks, but
Yeah,
we'll get over it, man.
yeah. So that's the other thing too is I've been like you said, you're trying to do, you know, be consistent on the different platforms and whatnot. And that's one area that I am for sure focused on myself. What are the biggest challenges that you've seen as far as, I mean, other than obviously life in general, but what are the biggest challenges that you come across when trying to stay consistent or even making content?
Well, I'll be honest, and this may be me making an excuse, so I apologize in advance. My technological logical savviness is not the best, so I'm learning on a whim. It does take me time, especially with the YouTube videos, to edit because I'm learning that. Trying to incorporate some more things in it, make them a little bit cooler to watch, I guess.
Yeah.
And then just with my kids, you know, life, different obligations, things like that. But man, really just kind of balancing out my difficulties with learning this stuff. It's like I'm pretty brand new to it, really. I still don't know how the TikTok lives work at all.
Yeah,
Just jumping on and kind of rambling.
for
And,
sure.
And then just with my obligations. So balancing them things out. And plus, I spend an awful lot of time just on my own training, man.
Yeah,
So I'm going to fit that in there too.
for sure. Yeah. I mean, that's good. I mean, time, I think that's one of my biggest struggles too is, you know, I mean, I still have so on my 9 to 5, if you will, is, you know, I'm a designer, like a mechanical industrial designer.
That's what's
So
up.
I still have, you know, those obligations and those clients that I need to cater to. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? And that's what's paying the bills. That's the
Yeah.
bridge to be able to allow me to do the Coach Wads thing until I can make it a full-time thing, 100%. But it's tough, man. It's tough to find those. And then yeah, the technology, dude, I get it. Like what editing software do you use?
I'm gonna be honest. I'm using CapCut right now.
Dude, there's nothing wrong with that. Dude, everybody starts somewhere.
Yeah.
Like that's one thing is I really enjoyed that is as I start to reach out to other people too, like business coaches or social media coaches, or just in general mentors, that sort of thing is I know the ones that I can trust when they're like, dude, don't even sweat it.
Yeah.
Everybody started from somewhere. You know, everybody started from zero. Even the experts of the experts,
Yeah.
they still started from zero.
Mhm.
And if they say any different, then they're just lying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so it's cool. CapCut, dude. I use an app on my phone when I'm doing shorts. Like, it doesn't matter. It's actually Cyberlink Power Director, but that's because that comes from a previous life that I used.
I got you.
But yeah, dude, we all got to start somewhere.
I'll tell you what, man. I'm gonna brag on you a second. I've checked out your YouTube videos, and when I get the chance, I try to get on the live. You've got an excellent hand on it, man. Your content looks incredible.
I appreciate
Looks
that,
legit, man.
I thank you for that.
You're welcome, bro.
And I'm willing to help you out anyhow I can, where I can, for sure. Even if it's just like, hey, give this a shot. I do appreciate that because I do put time into it. So thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah.
But yeah, no, and that's one area too. I think that's my biggest challenge is the editing side of it. Because I want it to be engaging, but I also want them to be like this. Like I want this type of content too.
Yeah.
You know, so I think this is like we were talking about earlier, and I don't remember if we actually were recording then yet, but we were talking about how we want conversations that be organic. You know, and I think that's what people want, especially when it comes to like podcasting, right?
Yeah.
They want to, at least for me, when I'm listening to podcasts, I want to feel like I'm there with them. You know what I mean? Sorry, I keep on rambling. I like to talk, Devin.
Hey, that's all right, man.
Yeah, life and time. There was something else that you had mentioned that I was gonna bring up, and I didn't write it down. See, if I don't write things down, sometimes I lose them.
I know what you mean.
But no, I mean, that's awesome. What's kind of the big picture for Deven? Like, what do you envision? Is it mostly in like the physical fitness? Is it physical fitness in nutrition? Is it like the whole wellness? Like, what is it?
Man, I've had difficulty kind of putting that into words
Mhm.
because there's a few different things that I kind of want to do with these platforms and my following message to get out to people. Uh, I would like to do majority in the realm of health and wellness and nutrition, all things that. But kind of talking a little bit about where I'm from, there's not an awful lot of outlets for young people there. And one thing that I want, outlet may not be the word I'm looking for. There's not a whole lot of careers there. It's a really small world where I'm from, and not a whole lot of places to work. And I'll be honest, during my upbringing, I didn't realize that there's a whole nother world out there.
Hmm.
And eventually, what I would like to do is bring on people from. I've got a couple things in the works. I'm going to start a podcast here in the next couple weeks, and I'm actually doing another one at the same time with one of my childhood best friends. Just kind of a silly little thing, but on mine, I would eventually like to bring in people from different occupations. Kind of talk a little bit about what they do with work, what I went into it, and put that information out there in hopes that people kind of where I'm from and places like that can get exposure to some of those careers, maybe pull something from those folks.
Dude, that's phenomenal. I love that. I love that comes from like my coaching side is, I do coach, sports, and I love coaching sports, baseball, football, basketball, all that. Baseball is probably my number one favorite, and I love being able to help develop these kids in their sport, but
Yep.
I just want to help them become good human beings. And that's how I lead all of my like parent talks at the beginning of seasons. And now that is, listen, yes, I want to teach them how to be better at their sport. Yes. But really what I'm trying to do is help develop them, teach them how to be good human beings. And so that's awesome. Like you're helping the next generation. That's one thing why my wife and I talk to our boys about a lot is because we did the same thing. We didn't realize that there is so much more out there than what we realize.
Oh yeah.
And so, for instance, me being a mechanical designer, a lot of people say, "Oh, you're like an engineer." Sure, I mean, yeah, I'm not an engineer by any means. I don't have that liability. I'm not that guy, right? That's not my career. But when you talk about engineering specifically, dude, that is such a broad term, and there's so much so much that goes into that, and so many other avenues that you can go and paths you can travel down when you want to become an engineer. And not just in the engineering realm, but then things that you can do that are like spider webs or branches coming off of that. So I love that, dude. Let me know how I can help support that too. That's awesome.
All right.
Love
I
that.
appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. That's good. Helping the next generation. That's awesome, man. Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah. That's one thing that I also have really tried to do better about is articulating my goals. Not only so I can help try and reach the right people, but so that I can be better focused too. Cause I have so many interests and so many things that I want to do.
Same way, man. Yeah.
Like, yeah. Yeah. So what else do you do? Like that was the question I was going to ask. Now I remember, Deven. You said you train quite a bit throughout the day. What is like a normal day for Deven?
Oh man.
Like general, you don't have to go specifically, but I'm just curious, like how long do you train? Like, what do you do? How much time you spend with the family? Like all that good stuff.
So kind of through just a day in the life of Deven, huh?
Yeah, I like it. Day in the life.
I love it. So I'm usually up. That's when I started this whole journey. I started forcing myself up at 3:30.
Ooh.
Yeah, man. And so
I thought I was bad at 4:45, but 3:30, my friend.
Well, I had to get in at the time I was living in an apartment complex, and we had a gym on the in the complex. And I'll be honest, man, at that time I kind of had a phobia of working out in front of people.
Dude, I
So I
feel
was
that.
just getting in there before everybody else. And so that's where that started. But yeah, I get up around 3:30. About the first hour that I'm up, I try to do some reading. Uh, Usually just sit by myself, do a little bit of meditation, think, write some things out that I need to get done. Uh, and then usually between 4:30 to 4:45, I'm in the gym. I've got a gym in my garage, and get a workout in for about an hour, hour and a half. If you want me to go into detail about the training split, I can.
Yeah, we'll get into that because I do. I'm
All
curious.
right.
You asked me that the other day, so yeah, I'm gonna return the favor.
So I get my workout done, and then usually have a cup of coffee after that. Sometimes before, just kind of depends on how I feel. And then I'll have my first breakfast. So I kind of eat 2 breakfasts. I try to get some protein in, usually about 20 minutes after I work out. And then just kind of I do some cooking for the family, some housekeeping, spend a little bit of time with the kids. Then I'll try to come up here and work on some of this content stuff, write some ideas. I mean, that's pretty much what a lot of my time's spent doing with this, just coming up with ideas. And when I touch on a particular topic, some of those details, you know what I mean? So I try not to miss those. And then usually have lunch around 12, 1 o'clock, cook for the family. My daughter goes to school. My bad. My daughter goes to school, so I have to take her out to school.
Sure.
Cook for the family. Just do some housekeeping stuff. Then go pick my daughter up from school, and then usually start. When I pick her up from school, I'll usually do a second session of the day, and that's usually some flexibility, mobility work.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm not like the 2 resistance trainings, or sometimes I'll get a run in the evening. But then I spend my evenings doing some of this social media stuff, man. Just spending time with the family. Then around about for the last 2 weeks now, about 7 o'clock, I've been trying to get on these lives, spend a little time doing that. And, usually in the bed by about 9 o'clock, do it all over again.
Yeah. Dude, very similar, except for I don't know that I want to do the 3:30. Like,
Yeah.
There is a part of me that thinks about doing earlier, but I don't know if I could do that early. I'll just be honest. I'm being, because a lot of times, like I try to do the same thing where I'm trying to be in bed at between 9 and 10. But the more, like, dude, I get so wrapped up in working on the mindset business aspect of things and trying to, everything that, like, last night it was like 9:30 and I was working through developing my unique value proposition is what they call it, and before I knew it, it was 10:15 and I was like, dude, I have to go to sleep because 4:45 comes super early and it's already been a long week. And I'll be honest, I don't know that I could do the 3:30 thing, but I have wanted to. And the reason why is because the strength program that I just got out of, it was taking me hour and 15, hour 30 workout, right? And then when I do get up at 4:45 and I hit the gym and everything, I'm done with just enough time to get upstairs, to, pour myself a cup of coffee and then start getting everybody out and help them out. Just kind of similar to what you do. It doesn't leave a lot of time for my, any of, like you were talking about, my visualizations, or whether it's reading or even like my cold water exposure sort of things. You know what I'm saying? So I've been trying to play with to see if I can figure that out. But otherwise I find time to do those things throughout the day when I can, but yeah, it's tough, man. I don't know if that's a tough one. Kudos to you for doing the 3:30. I do 4:45, but gosh, dang, man.
Up, dude. That's what's up. Ain't a whole lot of people do that, man. So my hat's off to you, dude.
Dude, you're up earlier than I am. And shoot, here's the other thing. Like, I'm like, dude, Devin, we should get up and do, like these live workouts together. But I'm like, I ain't getting up at 3:30. Well, what time would that be for me? That'd be 1:30 in the morning.
So when you get up around 4:40, what time do you usually get started in the gym?
It depends on how slow I'm moving. This
Yeah.
morning, I actually didn't hit the clock till
Mm,
5:20,
mm,
and that was because I got up. I actually had a message that so that's the one thing I really try to do too is one is simplify everything in the morning. So when I get up, like
yep.
my gym clothes are ready, my shoes are down in the gym. Like I know, like it's, you know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
have that routine
Yep.
and I try not to. I'm not perfect about this, but I try not to jump onto social media and check like analytics because gosh, I'm such an analytical guy. I'm like, no, don't do it. Don't get on social media. Don't do that. I did because I had a comment on YouTube and it
Mm,
was a good comment. So I wanted to respond.
mm,
And so I did. So then it took me a little longer. And then the dogs were doing their thing.
yeah.
It just took me longer. And I'll be honest, I almost went live this morning for my workout.
Mm,
And so I was kind of playing with like where to set the camera up. And then I looked at the clock. I'm like, oh, I need to get this done.
yeah. Yeah.
Right? So that's to answer your question. Typically, I try to be down here and in the gym by 5:10, 5:15 at the
That's what's up.
latest. Yeah, just so I can make sure I can get it in. I got to figure out what that looks like now because as we get through February, I'm going to go into like a spring training type of program or what
Mm,
I mentality. So I don't know how long those workouts. I don't know for sure what programs I'm going to do.
yeah.
But but now I can ask you. I can be like, dude, what do you think about this?
Yeah. That's what's
Uh,
up, man.
yeah, no, that's good. And that's another thing that I do. And I don't know, you could tell me if this is similar or if you've ever done this, but so I do like these guys right here, Mountain Tough Fitness Labs, like
Mm,
those. I've been a subscriber to them since 2020, maybe late 2019. Love them. They have a ton of stuff going on. But one thing that I really try to do is I try to plan out my workouts for the entire year.
oh wow.
So what I do and why I do that is because when it comes to hunting season, and this is because they direct you, you know, to kind of do
Mm,
this way. If you're a hunter or an outdoor athlete or something, is just like we back engineer goals, right? Like
mm,
you reverse engineer them. You have your goal date set in mind, and then you figure out what the steps you need to take to lead up to that. And so it's similar in my workouts. Is like I know when hunting season is,
mm,
and hunting's going to be my focus.
yep.
Um, it's not always, usually family is my
Mm,
focus,
yeah.
but hunting is my focus. So like I want to train up to that point heavily.
Yeah.
And then it's like an in-season type of thing. So have
Yeah.
you ever looked at doing that or setting up any programs like that to where it's like a year long?
No, I'm not really. Uh, I've kind of just went on a limb with my training, man. I don't really do a whole lot of planning. I kind of got an idea of what I know needs to be done and just fit it through the week.
Yeah, because you have an education on it. You can probably walk in the gym and be like, I want to do this and this and this, and I know
Yeah.
what I'm going to do. And for me, I'm like, I mean, I know what most of them are, but
Yeah.
I do need that. You know, I do. I mean, I need that something to tell me, or I've got to plan it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, but that's what's up, man. I
Yeah.
love that, dude. I wish that I was able to. I ain't got the patience to sit down planning something out that long.
The nice thing is they have their programs and they'll tell you how long they are. So I can be like, okay, let's say September 1st is usually when archery elk opens up. So
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, so this program is 4 weeks, this one is 8 weeks, this one is 6 weeks. And so I can just backtrack it. You know what I
That's
mean? So it's
awesome.
really simple. It's not that crazy,
That's awesome, man.
but it helps me like the simplicity side of things, right?
Do
Just
you like to do any kind of training that helps you with your hunting? I'm sure you're familiar with like Cam Haynes.
dude,
Yeah,
I love Cam Haynes. In fact, you know that there's a song there's an artist that wrote a song called Cam Haynes.
really.
Have you ever
I'll have to check it out.
Dude, it's legit. Let me look it up real quick. Um, he's on TikTok and I've seen it, but it's on my two of my Spotify playlists because I like it so much. But yeah, Cam Haynes. No,
Yeah.
absolutely. So I do. That's what Mountain Tough, what they're all about too, is like the outdoor athlete. A lot of
Mm,
hunters in this, and it caters to everybody though, from beginner to elites, from body weight to full gym, like all that. But yeah, 100%. Because when I started getting into back into nutrition and fitness and all that, was I wanted something practical. I didn't want to just go in the gym and just do back squats and do
yeah,
bench and this.
yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong; those are foundational, and so there's a lot of programs I do that use them. But I wanted something more catered to just practical fitness. And
Mhm.
nothing against all the CrossFitters out there, but I saw too much that I didn't like with CrossFit that
Yeah.
I was like, that's not for me. Now, some people, I've got a friend of mine who actually he competes and he's an animal. Like those athletes are animals. Don't get me wrong.
Yes, sir.
Not throwing shade, but not for me. So that's why, yes, 100%. As I get into like my preseason prep is what they call it, is they have standalone workouts too that are like, hey, if you're an archery hunter, here's 3 workouts that you can do, and it'll target certain like upper body, and you'll have your core and then lower body and different movements that you would do. For instance, today for my workout today was a pack workout. So you have it's all done with weight in your pack and dumbbell, but you're doing, like step ups. Like if you're going through the mountain, you do step unders too with your pack on. You do all these different lifts, and they have these get ups that you have to do. And so 100% practical.
That's awesome, man. That is so cool.
Yeah. I love that kind of stuff. The stuff that you can, that is dual purpose. So, like weighted vests and things like that. Like I want to get a Rogue weighted vest because I love rucking. I really do. I enjoy it. But dude, I use my hunting pack for it.
Yeah.
Like, use what you can. That's one of my favorite sayings is it's not what resources you have, it's how resourceful you can be.
That's right. Yeah.
Like you're like, hey, I'm using CapCut. Hell yeah, use CapCut. Like that's awesome, But yeah.
I love that stuff. Is it Mountain Tough?
Yeah, Mountain Tough Fitness Labs.
Stuff, man.
Yeah. Dude, those guys are awesome.
I know that a lot of people don't think about how much fitness goes into hunting, man. I grew up, I've done a bunch of whitetail hunting where I'm from. Man, boy, you get a workout half the time just walking in the woods. And then, if you fortunate enough to harvest one, getting it out of the woods is a whole nother ball game.
Boy, I tell you, I got 2 stories. We'll swap some hunting stories here if you want. So quite a few years ago, I grew up shooting archery. When I was younger, my mom dated a guy who owned an archery shop in the small town that I grew up into. And so like younger years, I lived at the archery range, and I shot, I did everything, and I loved it. And then as I got older and everything, and I became a teenager, a young dumb guy, like I just got out of it. So actually I've only gotten back into it in the last 5 or 6 years. And God, I freaking love shooting my bow. But anyway, sorry, that's not where the story was going. I wanted to get back into it. And when we moved back from Wyoming, we were living in Colorado. A good friend of mine here, he's an avid archery hunter, an avid hunter. And I was like, dude, can I go with you? I don't have a tag, nothing. I just want to go with you. He's like, yeah, absolutely. Come on. So we went up, and it was archery season, so it's still pretty nice out and everything. And I was like, oh, I got this, all good. That first day, Deven, it rocked my world.
Oh yeah.
And I remember, I can't say that we even did a ton. Like we did. It was a lot of up and down, a lot of, it's just a lot of terrain, right?
Yeah.
I woke up the next morning, and I was like, and he like, I kind of unzipped the tent because we were in separate tents and stuff. And I was like, dude, I don't think I'm going. And he looked at me and goes, shut up, like, get your shit on, let's go. And I did, dude. I was dragging,
dude,
so much so that we were and I remember because I tell a story all the time because it just, man, it's crazy. So I was beat. I didn't have a good pack. I only had a backpack. And I didn't know how to pack my stuff, so it was just unneeded weight and like all this stupid stuff, right? I'm a young dumb kid, even though I was like in my mid-20s, whatever, late 20s. But I'm like doing this and we're just side hilling, nothing crazy, just like head down, like hating life. Next thing, it sounds like the mountain's coming down at me, and like there's boulders coming down, and I look up and there's this giant elk.
Oh my goodness.
And he's like 40 yards ahead of me. And he's got this huge drop tine, tine, like a big club coming down. And my buddy was, I don't know, he was probably like 60 yards ahead of me because he's tall legs and he's just bebopping around. And he looks back at me and he's like, what is going on? And I was like, I couldn't even speak because my heart rate was like, dude. Yeah. Anyway, so there's that. Like just the fitness that goes into it. It's just insane. The other story that I got for you was a couple years ago. It was late. It was like right towards the end of deer season, and so we were just meat hunting, which most of the time I'm a meat hunter. Like, sure, everybody wants to shoot a big buck or a big deer or whatever, like a big elk, but at the end of the day, I want to fill the freezer, right? But
Mhm.
end of the season, we're meat hunting, and I get this deer down, and he's not a monster or anything, but he's a big bodied deer and stuff and whatever. And I had my friend help me through how to do the gutless method on
Mhm.
rather than just gutting him and then packing him out, throwing him
Yeah.
on your whatever. And I was like, here's the deal, guys. The truck was like 150 yards away. Like, cause we were able to drive on this road. Like once I got him down, like this 2-track went 150 yards away. And I was like,
Mhm.
here's the deal. I want everything that we can put on my pack because I want to see if I can do this. And they're like, you sure? I'm like, yeah. Like, I think because he wasn't huge, but he was a good size.
Yeah.
Except for I kept the skull and stuff, and somebody was going to carry that out, but I was like, yeah, put
Mhm.
it on. So we got it all strapped in my pack, and like I'm ready to go, and I go down, and I've learned how to get up with a pack and like all this stuff, and I'm sitting down like on my back, right, and I
Mhm.
got my pack on, I get it all cinched up, and then I go to stand up, and I try like 2 or 3 times, and I'm like, guys, what am I stuck on? Like, dude, guys, and because they're standing like right here, and I'm on the ground. They're like, what am I stuck on? And they start laughing. Like one of them almost falls over, and they're like, bro, you ain't stuck on anything. That's the weight. And I
Yep.
was like, oh my
I love
god,
it, man.
dude, so funny. Oh man,
That's funny,
yeah.
man.
So after those couple of stories, it's like, dude, yeah, you gotta really have your stuff together. Like,
Oh yeah. Now
and
there's
then,
some ways around it, but those are kind of frowned upon nowadays. You know what I mean?
oh yeah,
You can just go park the truck and whatnot. You know?
yeah. I mean, it depends on the situation, right? I mean, you always want to be respectful of nature and
Mhm.
the land and this and that 100%. But then there's the other side of it, like you were talking about earlier with your job in the Air Force.
Mhm.
Like if something bad happens, you want to make sure that you're able to get yourself out and whoever else is out with you, or at least be able to get to where you can get help.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think that's always my biggest driver, I guess, in keeping my fitness is like Mountain Tough. They have a saying that says always ready. People
Mhm.
will ask me all the time is like, I'll be doing my rucks in the neighborhood. And now they know, or people always ask, well, what are you training for? Just to always be ready.
That's right. I love it.
Yeah.
That's right, man.
Yeah. Devin, have you ever done like Spartan races or any like challenge races like that?
No, I haven't. I've ran
Oh,
some 5Ks, but I'm probably gonna eventually do one.
okay.
A lot of my training's kind of geared towards them things, and I have like tried to come up with my own version of it. You know, run so far, do a certain amount of like pull, you know, things like that. But no, nothing, anything formal.
Yeah. No, me either. That's actually one of my challenges to myself this year is to do a challenge race.
Mm.
I need to schedule it so that I actually have, it's not a goal, it's just a dream until you schedule it. So that's one thing
Yeah,
I really want to do.
yeah, I'd like to do the same thing, man.
Yeah.
Kind of look into them high rocks a little bit. Have you seen those?
High rock, no.
Yeah, you'll have to check them out. It's kind of a mixture of like a 5K and some CrossFit stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, like
Oh,
you
High
said,
Rocks, HYROX.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Now it's a pretty big organization. I know that they're all over the world with it. We had a foreign exchange student come to our high school a few years ago, and we still keep in contact. And he does them. They had
Okay.
one in Germany, so that's where he's at. But yeah, you can see some of the.
Is it overseas only or do they have them
No, they have
stateside?
them in the U.S. as well.
Okay. God, see, this is why I know that I have to do something like this because
Mhm.
looking at this picture right here, Devin, scares the shit out of me.
Yeah,
I'll be 100% honest, dude. That scares me.
I know what you mean, man.
So that's where I'm like, that's what we talk about all the time. Like, in the mindset, the acronym, D is that do hard things and don't quit.
Hmm.
And getting yourself out of the comfort zone. Like,
Yeah,
that's what's up.
I love
Gosh.
it.
Maybe we should link up and do one of these together. Maybe
Hey, we
that should
can,
be
man. We'll make it happen.
dude, 100%. The other thing is I've got another guy that I met on TikTok. His name is Tommy. His handle on TikTok is Spectrum and Camouflage. He's all about pushing for autism awareness and stuff. And he's getting ready to put on or working on putting on like a 5K. And I despise running, Devin. I despise it. People have talked to me about the runner's high. Do you get a runner's high?
Yeah. If it depends on the distance, man, but eventually, yeah, I'll end up getting it.
I've never felt that, man. I hate it. But he's doing a 5K. I was like, dude, I'll run a 5K with you. That's what's
Yeah.
that, like 3.5 miles? Like, I'll die, but I'll do it with you.
Yeah.
Like, and my wife's funny because I was talking to her. She's like, yeah, I'll walk it. I'm like, yeah, perfect. Dude, you know, it's for a good cause. But dude,
if I've got a run planned and it's anywhere from a half marathon on, yeah, I will talk to some major runners high for sure.
How long is a half marathon?
13 miles.
Dude, I'll ruck 13 miles, but I don't know if I'm running it. I'll throw a 60-pound pack on my back and I'll walk it.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if I do that. I do some rucking myself. I'd about rather run it personally.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I've got another friend that's like that. I don't know, man. Dude.
This last December, man, I actually done a fundraiser, just kind of a little idea that I had. We just moved to a new area in the end of 23 and really didn't know many people, but I had this idea that I was going to try to raise some money for some Christmas presents for kids. May not have got them.
That's awesome.
So I was like, I'm going to try to run to Cincinnati from where I'm at now. And one Saturday in December, I just started running. I made it 33 miles. We raised like $1,200 for Christmas presents.
Dude, that's phenomenal.
We had a couple of buggies and a Walmart full of toys and whatnot. It was a great turnout, man.
Dude, that's wild.
But it was hard, bro. I jacked up the bottom of my feet pretty bad.
Oh, yeah.
Cold. It was wet. It was just miserable, man. But it was a good turnout.
Dude, that's freaking awesome. If you do that again, when you do, let me know. Like, I would love to. It's just, I don't know that I could do it. I don't know that I could commit to running that. I don't know, something. But I would love to be able to help and support that. And that's freaking sweet, dude. That's awesome.
I don't even know why I did it, man.
Dude, because you got a good heart, dude. Like, obviously,
it.
like we've established that today. Like, I think your mission and where you want to be is like it's in the right place. And I love it, man. I think that's why we vibe so much. Cause I'm like, dude, Devin's like a legit, like, he's not just BSing, you know what I mean?
I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Really appreciate it.
So we've been going for almost an hour now. Did you realize that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Do you want to, I don't know. I mean, we can either just keep chatting for a minute or I am going to have to take a break though. Cause I'll be honest, and I'm going to cut this out, but I got to pee.
Okay. Are you good?
But did you maybe want to go live or what's your schedule like? I don't want to.
No, I'm free, man.
You're
I'm
free?
as long as you are, we can keep it rolling. We can do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to go and jump over to TikTok and bring some of your crew in, just see. I mean, and we'll just continue conversation and chat about some stuff. Sweet. But I think we got to figure it out, dude. That was wild.
Yeah.
For everybody that doesn't know, yeah, dude, it'll take a minute. Do you have some people on that are on your live now, or what? Good? Yeah. So it's going to take a minute for mine to get rock and rolling if it does. But for those that don't know, Dev and I just got done shooting the first part of our podcast here. Coach Wads podcast, and I had Devin on and we were chatting and whatever, and I was like, dude, we should go live, like let's go hang out. We did some stuff where we'll talk some more about what we were talking about, Devin, but for anybody that wants to see the rest of it, it'll get posted next week. Monday or Wednesday. I'll have to figure out, but Devin, I will for sure let you know so that you can even be aware of it and whatnot. But yeah, so we figured let's go live, check it out, continue the conversation. Man. I've been having fun, dude. So
me too.
Yeah, if you want to see the first half of this, come back and watch it on Coach Wads, and check out. For anybody that's here that's following me, that's my followers, doesn't follow Devin, go follow him. So, all right, so I have questions for you, Devin. Right. So, being the nutritionist and whatnot, give me your take on creatine.
I take creatine every day, 5 grams. I do, more than anything, I do get the cognitive side of it. more than any fitness progress. I mean, I don't think it's really made that big of a difference in my physique or performance at all. But especially if I go without it a few days, just don't re-up on it, I definitely feel a big difference, man.
Yeah,
for sure.
So that's it.
Yeah, I take 5 grams every day.
Dude, that's awesome. I love that. So back in the day, so we established earlier off camera that I'm a fair amount older than you, but when I was younger, I remember creatine was kind of starting to be a thing. Linda Lou, what's up? And it was more for like the gains, you know, like this and that, but then it got a bad rap there for a long time about, you know, retaining water weight and like this and that and everything. So I've been taking creatine now every day, 5 to 7 milligrams. I mean, it's, you know, the 5 grams or milligram scoop or whatever it is, 5 grams, not milligrams.
Yeah.
It's heaping, right? So 5 to 6 or whatever. And my wife was like, wait, why are you taking creatine? Because it's got such a bad rap in the past. But again, why I take it is, the cognitive. I started listening to people such as like Andrew Huberman or Andy Galpin, some of those individuals that are way smarter than I am that talked about it. I'm like, well, if it's going to help with my brain, let's do it.
Yeah. Have you seen, do you feel like you hold water more, like feeling maybe a little more bloated as opposed to when you're not taking creatine?
I don't think so. I think where I see the bloating and the feeling of that is when I'm eating more carbs. And that could just be because carbs get a bad rap too. I don't know. But like my body is way more affected by carbs than anything. And especially when I'm drinking my carbs. So drinking beer, that sort of thing. I don't see it from the creatine though.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, man.
I do drink a lot of water throughout the day. There was at one point where I was like, I had like 100 ounces. So I would drink, 2+ of these. And then I listened to, and you could tell me, I don't know. But I was listening again to like the Andy Galpins and the Andrew Hubermans, and they were talking about ideal hydration, that everybody has their own ideal hydration place. And whether or not you are, I think, and I'm going to butcher these numbers. I think it was if you even got 2% above your ideal hydration, which is a big spectrum, right?
Yeah.
So you're overhydrated actually can be terrible for your mental state. You can have mental fog. You can have certain things that inhibit your brain function. Also, being dehydrated, we all know the downfalls of that. But they also said for overhydration. So that when I learned that, I started looking more into it and paying attention rather than just saying, hey, I'm going to drink a gallon of water a day. I actually paid attention to how many ounces and where I felt best.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
Have you done much research into hydration and everything, like with your schooling and nutrition and all that?
We kind of touched on it a little bit, but for me personally, I drink a ton of water, which I sweat profusely, man. I'm sweating right now. And I just, when I feel thirsty, I try to drink a bottle of water at that time. I'm not really a sip through the day kind of guy.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
But I don't have a set amount that I try to take in a day neither.
Yeah. And I used to be like I said, I used to be like, oh, it's got to be 120 ounces or whatever. I mean, now it's like some days I'll have one of these, some days I won't. And it depends because and it's not always just plain water. Like earlier when I was drinking out of this guy, I actually had an emergency pack in it because it's the vitamin C.
Yeah.
And then, so here's the thing, talk about like macros that we were earlier and whatnot. Leanne, what's going on? I ran out of my protein, my powder protein, and I should have went and got it yesterday, but I didn't. I didn't plan very well. So this morning I didn't have my protein shake, and I could start to feel it. Like, because that's my typical breakfast is a protein bar, protein shake. That's just what it is. So I just put my creatine in my water with my emergency, and that's what I drank this morning.
That's what's up.
Yeah. So I got another question for you. I watched a bunch of your videos. I have over the last couple of weeks since we met. Tebow, what's going on? And I see you work out a lot barefoot.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that. I want to know.
Dude, I'm going to be honest with you, man, and this is probably going to lose me some of my followers.
It's okay. We're all friends here. Hey, we listen and we don't judge. Have you seen those videos?
Yeah.
Yeah. We listen and we don't judge. Everybody, Chris E, we listen and we don't judge. Ready, go.
Have you heard of he's got a page on, I know he's pretty big on Instagram, the Certified Health Nut, Troy Casey?
Troy Casey. No, but I'm going to write him down.
You'll have to look into some of his stuff, man. He does a lot of, man, just growing up playing basketball, I've been a victim of rolled ankles and different little injuries over my life.
Mm-hmm.
And as I got a little older, I started just having some leg pain in my feet, pain in my legs.
Okay.
And a lot of his content, he calls shoes and socks foot prisons.
Oh.
If you think about it, you know, if you hold your hands out, you've got space in between your fingers.
Mm-hmm.
Most people, if you take your shoes off and look at your toes, they're going to be like that.
Sure. When
they should kind of be spaced out.
Okay.
So a lot of the shoes that we make, our toes are real restricted, bunched together,
sure,
paired with socks. So it's just constantly keeping them, and you start to grow that way a little bit.
Okay.
And he tries to, when he goes, has the chance to go barefooted, that's what he does. And man, for about the last 3 years, if I'm able to go barefoot, I don't even care if it's going outside.
Yeah.
No matter what terrain it is, I try to. So ditch my shoes and ditch my socks and just rock the bare feet, man.
Yeah. No, I get that. Like, there's a lot of people that talk about, like, go touch grass. And I know there's negative connotation that comes with that, but, you know, just being one with nature, I guess, you know. But, yeah, I just thought it interesting because so the other day I was doing my workout too, and the athlete that was, so I'm in a coached program right now, and the athlete that does it along with you, when she went to do squats, she actually took her shoes off to do her squats. Dude, I'll be honest, that blew my freaking mind. Now, I probably work out in the wrong type of shoes because I just have a pair of cross trainers. I don't have like the flat, you know, like the actual squatting shoes, if you will, right? Because dude, I'm not rich.
I know what you mean.
I use what I have. So I have my cross trainers. That's what I use. But yeah, when she took her shoes off, I was like, all right. And then I was watching your stuff and I'm like, all right, Devin's doing, like, you were in your garage without, and you're doing some push-ups and things and like that I get, but then you were doing some other things. I'm like, holy cow, he's got his shoes off.
Yeah. Like, I mean, man, if I'm not going somewhere, I have my shoes off, man. I don't wear socks or shoes or none of that.
I love socks and shoes. It's a joke in my house. Like, I wear shoes and socks all the time. In fact, when I have house shoes, like I have a pair of dudes that I wear dudes all the time. Like, and that's probably terrible for me, but whatever. It's me.
And then if I do wear shoes, I don't wear socks.
I can't do that.
I wear Crocs a lot. I've got like oh man, let me think of the brand.
Ida, what's going on?
I think they're called like Earth Runners. So if you've read into like keeping yourself grounded with the earth, I'm kind of skeptical with that, but you know, I've definitely had some improvement, like the leg pain, ditching my shoes. Yeah,
for sure. No, I mean, I get that. And I'm kind of with you. Like, there's some things that I may lose some people too. It's like, you know, the hippy dippy thing is what I always say. And like, don't get me wrong. Like, I love being out in nature. I think that being in nature is one of the best ways that you can, it's where I can kind of center myself, you know what I mean, and all that. But I mean, the grounding thing, like, I don't know if it's a thing. It could be, but the socks and shoes things, man, I am a socks and a shoes guy. Like, I
understand it.
I am. My wife is not. Like, I give her a hard time all the time. She's gonna hate me for this story. There was one time, so I bought her a pair we live kind of out in the country, and we don't have chickens right now. All the coyotes ate them. We're getting chickens again. Anyway, I got all of us pairs of mucks or muck type boots, so that we could go out and, you know, take care of chickens and animals or whatever. and she put those mucks on one time without socks on, and they were pretty tight, like they were probably a half size too small. Dude, I almost had to cut them off of her.
Oh my goodness.
And I was like, this is the reason that you wear socks. Like, I get a kick out of that story. This always cracks me up. Hey, Ida, I see you're here. I got a question for you. I got a notification that I know, Deven, you can hear me, but I'm curious if anybody else can hear me on my side. I think they probably can. So, Ida, if you are here, Jennifer McGrath, can you hear me? Can you hear me all right? I just want to make sure. But yeah, so I was curious about that, like your bare feet and everything. Yeah. Have you ever seen the guy, Christy Smith, what's up? Have you ever seen, what does he call himself? The knees over toes guy? Yeah. Like the push and pull and stuff. Like, what's your take on all that? I'm just curious.
Oh man, it's some wild training. Something that you don't typically see, but you know, I know a little bit of his backstory. I think both of his knees have been blown out, and just the functionality of his knees, the way he's able to move them. You know, he's not a very big guy. The way he explodes up to like dunk a basketball, I mean, it must work.
Yeah.
It's super non-traditional training, but I try to use some of it. Like I'll go up my stairs backwards a couple times a day. Yeah. But I just try to, when I see things like that, you know, that stick out to me, I will try them just to see if there's any benefit. Now, a lot of them, especially, I know you talked about the CrossFit stuff. Some of that stuff's a little overboard, and
sure,
if you do it for a long period of time, you're more than likely going to suffer a pretty traumatic injury.
Well, and that's what I saw. That's why. So, but little background. Deven and I were talking about CrossFit earlier, and I got nothing against. Like I told Deven earlier, I have a good friend that does a friend that does CrossFit, and he competes, and he's a freaking animal. We call him the Billy Goat because I can't keep up with him in the mountains. It's insane. However, I saw a lot of people and a lot of injuries that came out of it that I'm like, that probably could have been avoided. Like, I'm not an expert by any means. I don't claim to be, but dude, I wasn't into it. Like, I think that burpees should be done strict. I think push-ups should be done strict. Pull-ups should be strict. No kipping. Like, don't get me wrong. Could I do what they do? No. Like, it's like a sport, you know, like, but anyway, I like the stuff when it comes to like the push and the pull, like the sled. So we do a lot of sled work too, and like I do because I'm mountain tough. But when I started, I was like, how am I going to do the sled stuff? And so I got just I started out with putting a towel down and plates on top of a towel and pushing that across my floor. And then when you pull though, I had to have a strap and dude. And then I was like, I should just buy one, but I'm like, I'm kind of frugal. Some people say I'm cheap. So I built a sled for myself. So I have a little mini sled that I hang out that I can push because my basement's unfinished where my gym is at. And so I can push and pull that. And I love sled work. I love sled work. I like the ruck like we've talked about. But
now I've done some CrossFit before, and I just kind of pulled what I really enjoyed with it out and put it in my training. Like I do tons of muscle ups.
What's a muscle up?
I do some.
Is that pull ups like where you push yourself above the bar? Okay, perfect.
Yeah. And then some of the Olympic lifts, I find that's important. Like you was talking about, I like the functionality, the functional fitness, and but you know, I do a little bit of gymnastics work, like some handstand push-ups, things like that. But I just pulled what I liked out of CrossFit and kind of started implementing it into my own training.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. And I think I do that with just life in general. You know, like I like to read. I try to read a lot, and I try to learn and podcasts. Derek, what's going on? Trapper, what's going on? You know, so, but you have to pick things out that work for you, because not everything's going to work for you. So like picking that stuff out. Oh, thanks, Trap. Picking stuff out that you like, that you can implement into your life, because not everything's going to be great. I always use this as an example, and it's no shame, no shade thrown at Dave Ramsey. Like, you know what Dave Ramsey is? He's the no credit guy or no debt guy, which I don't disagree. Like, shouldn't have debt. Well, I shouldn't say that. There's parts and things that there's parts and pieces of what that I believe that he teaches that is very, very sound, but then that's a lot of it's really extreme. So, you know, you got to pick and choose. Derek is the one my buddy Derek is on right now. He's the one who should talk about it. He's into like the credit and the financial guidance thing. But yeah, I wonder. Yeah, no, I agree. Like picking and choosing and getting the things out of it that you can. I mean, even some of the books, some of my favorite books, I don't agree with everything that they say.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that it's right or wrong for them. It's just, you know. Trap, my buddy Trapper's on. We should see if we could do multi-guest.
Yeah, that's perfect, man.
And then we could
seen the playback of your and Derek's sit down. What's up, Derek? That you posted on YouTube the other day.
I will. So here's what I'm going to do. I want to do the multi-guest thing. So
sweet.
I think we have to stop the co-host.
Okay.
And then I think you would just have to join my live, and then I can bring you up into the box.
That's perfect.
So you might have to rejoin.
All right.
And watch. So if you bounce out, and then I'll multi-guest and I'll send you a deal. But yeah, right. Hey, real quick before you do that though, because this is probably where I'll end like our podcast thing. But dude, Deven, again, tell everybody where people can find you on social media or online, and yeah, tell everybody.
All right, with TikTok, Instagram, I'm at Deven Stone 98. In my bio on TikTok, there's a link to my YouTube channel. Trying to do a little bit longer form podcast, longer form content on YouTube every Wednesday and Saturday. Just kind of diving into some health and wellness topics. I'm on Facebook as well, Deven Stone. But yeah, that's the platforms I'm on. Appreciate you all giving me a follow. Check out my stuff if you like it. Love to have you.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you.
And I appreciate you coming on, Deven. This was fun. We're going to do it again for sure.
Yeah.